Hey guys, what's going on? It's Looseie here from Crescent Gaming, and today we're going to be switching gears just a tad bit. We're going to be going a little bit off the path of your traditional MMO RPG. So without any further ado, let's just jump right in. Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing WarFrame. So it's going to be a little bit more action-packed and action-oriented than some of these other RPGs, but I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised by some of the things here. So as you can see, here's our score for WarFrame and how it fared against our scoring process. So what we're going to do now is just go a little more depth into each one of the categories so you guys can get a better idea. So let's just jump right in. Alright guys, now when it comes to PvE, this is probably what this game's, mostly known for. And this is where you're going to spend a lot of your time. You're going to be just smashing mobs. Smashing, hence the term looter shooter. And you're going to have a really fun time doing both of them too, I think. The melee combat, although it's relatively simple, there's not too many variations that you can do as far as move-wise goes. You have a lot of different weapons that you can use, and they do perform quite differently. Some of them have huge AoEs, but they suck at single target damage, vice versa. Some have a much heavier attack, much slower, some are a lot quicker, so it kind of depends on how you like to play. You can be sneakier with like dual, katanas or something. So there's different, you have just that, and then of course all the different guns. You have pistols, grenade launchers, shotguns, sniper rifles, just the basics. You can think of it as probably a gun for it, and they all operate differently. Again, like the mod system, they're all can be used. You have different ones, different categories for all your different rifles. So, and the action combat is very fast paced. It's very nicely done. It does play out like an action game in most scenarios, at least I think it does. It's very smooth. You can fly across the map. You can, they call it the ninja zoom. So yeah, you can do all that cool stuff. It is a pretty fluid system that you have. And then of course, not of course, but I'm sorry, they have these extra kind of mount systems that you can have in some of the outside zones. So they added the railjack system, and there's mixed feelings about the whole railjack missions and everything. I understand that. When you first play it, it's pretty cool. So you can fly around in space on this kind of like little wings that you get. There's an underwater version of it. There's a hoverboard that you can get. You can fly around in this kind of helicopter thing. So there's different modes of way that you can move around the map, especially if you're looking for like eidolon hunting. I'm not really sure how you say it. That helps you to go hurry up and get there quicker. The only downside to the PvE here in the game, there's not a lot of particular like group content like you would normally expect in, say, WoW or Final Fantasy, where there's raids and things of that nature. It's more like one of the events they did a while back was, there was a group on the ground of like 12 people, and there was a group in the air of like 12 people, and you had to, I think it was more than that, but the two teams had to work together to get things done. So they're dabbling in there, but it's going to be a lot of repetitive content as far as the PvE goes for the most part, unless you get active in a really active clan and you guys have just been able to do all the different kind of, maybe real high-end things, some of the super challenge modes on some of the more, in-game things and some of the things they just brought out. But overall, I say for the type of game it is, you're going to have a pretty fun time if you're into this kind of combat action system. It's going to be you're going to like it. I think the PvE, for the most part, can be repetitive. They could be adding a little bit more things, but it's definitely there. I also want to point out, guys, that it is a hub-based game, and there are a few open zones, but surprisingly, the story's actually not that bad. Alright, so when it comes to grind, guys, boy, I tell you what, you're going to have a lot of things to do here. As you can see on the screen first right now, we're going to go over the mod system. Now, granted, keep in mind that I don't have a lot of, especially some of those newer high-end mods that have come out. They got little purple glowy crap all around them. So I don't have some of those. And there's, hundreds of different mods. And what you can do with them is you can continue to upgrade them, and you swap them together, and you can put different ones, and you can get different status effects by adding like fire and ice together. that'll give you a bonus. If you add like electricity and fire, that'll give you a bonus. You can make it poison damage, burst damage, there's slash damage. You can do all different kinds of things to not only just the melee weapons, but every weapon in the game. You can add these different mods, and there's different categories for each ones. And then when you go to the modding, this is also something you'll be finding yourself spending a lot of time as you get new mods, especially if you're just starting. You're going to want to upgrade these things as soon as you can, because it's going to help you out so much. Excuse me, it's going to help you out so much, especially as you're leveling, because those small percentages don't seem like a lot, but they're actually really huge. Then another thing that you can do is you get a little pet system, and you start off with the kind of doggy, the kookaburra, I forgot how you say it, and then eventually you can get this little mechanical kind of like, it's like a little bot that follows you around, and they pick up items, and they can get into combat. In fact, the dog can do a lot of damage. He can knock enemies down, and there's a different pet, so that's something on the side too. So when you go to the foundry, this is where you're going to craft everything, and you're going to spend a lot of time doing this, because the ones on the screen, they're all actually ready to claim. I forgot to get while it was doing it, but most things take 12 hours. Like 12 hours. There's nothing you can do. You can speed up the process with a little bit of platinum, but you know, for spending no platinum at all, it's going to take 12 hours. Sometimes it's 23 hours and 59 minutes for a WarFrame part. And then this is, in the foundry, this is how you also make all the different WarFrames. So you're going to be able to create the different, you can go through the long process of going through the story and all of the world modes to get all the pieces, or you can go to the cash shop and you can just flat out and buy the WarFrames there too. So, I mean, there's two different ways that you can get them. Obviously, if you just farm everything free-to-play way, it's going to take quite a while longer. So, as you can see, I was doing this right here, and it's got 22 hours on it. So, it's going to take, you can make one of those a day, basically. You know, so it's a pretty deep crafting system. They added some extra things that you can put onto your Tenno, which is the WarFrame. That's what they're called in the game lore. And with those, it makes them stronger. Alright guys, now when it comes to the community, I'm kind of torn a little bit, because you actually have a little interface here that they've built into your orbiter, which is kind of like your little main hub. You're going to see me in that throughout the whole video, but where they actually have a news and community tab. So there's, you know, that's something you rarely see, where there's a tab for the developers to interact with the community that's actually inside the game. So I think that's pretty cool. And then you have the clans, of course, which is this game's version of the guilds. And what you're going to see on screen, this is one of the dojos. Just one of the random ones. They do featured dojos, and this is one of the clans. I tried to give them a little shout out in the jump, but I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. Anyway, so that's one of the things that brings people together, because inside of the dojo is where the foundry is, and the foundry is one of the ways, or the only way, to get some of the things in the game, like to make some of the items and some of the weapons. So it's pretty important there. And then, of course, like I said, on the dev side, you're going to have them to where they do keep it pretty good in contact, especially lately. They've been getting much better. They were doing live streams and things of that nature with the community. So, you know, you have that going along as well. Again, not a lot of people do that. You know, development companies do it, and been doing a lot of things, I think, lately that are going to be very positive for the game. And it's already a pretty huge player base. And jumping into that, you can see, you know, you go to one of these main hubs, and you're going to see people, you know, kind of moving around. And that's where you'll see more than like 4 or 5 or, you know, 8 people, because that's just kind of how it is. Like I said, it's, you know, it's more of a solo-based game in the sense. So you're not going to have as much as, you know, like you could see 20-30 people out in a starter zone on most of the normal games we cover on the channel. So just keep in mind that, you know, it is a more of an action looter shooter, but the community's there. I mean, you have it on not only on the PC, but you also have it on consoles. So it's not cross-play, but you have two different versions of the game, and they're both still populated. So community, not bad at all. I mean, other than you're gonna have a little bit of toxicity in every game. You can't get away from that, you know. But you know, the more games you play, you can kind of look out on that, and you can kind of see it coming from a mile away. So, you know, anyway. All right, now visually, I have to say that this game definitely ranks on among one of the highest as far when it comes to just, I mean, almost kind of everything, especially when it comes to spell effects. In fact, it kind of suffers sometimes from the same problems like say Guild Wars 2 might when you have a ton of people at a world bosses because there's so many effects and there's so many things going on at once. And you can really push the system. You can run this game in DX10. You can run it in DX11. There's a beta DirectX 12, which I was having problems screen capturing and recording game footage with, so I had to use it. All the footage you'll see is DX11. So, you know, they're working on that. And of course, you can increase the particle effects. You can reduce them. There's different sliders just for that, along with all the other different settings that you can have. And it has come a long way. I do remember when I first started playing, they really didn't have too much. In fact, I think a temporal aliasing was the only selection that you had, either that or off. And then, of course, now you have SMAA, you have FXA, I'm sorry, both of those. So there's a lot of different options, and the game runs extremely well. I mean, performance-wise, I couldn't really tell you when it actually takes a hit. You don't really kind of feel it. Even when you're out on like one of the bigger world maps, like the Earth map or something like that, a lot of things going on. There's no game stutter. I'm not going to say no game stutter, but you know, as far as performance and frame drops, I have to say it's overall very well. In fact, that'd probably be my only gripe, going back to what I was saying, is about the visual clutter. But as far as the environments, you know, they do look really well, especially some of the weather effects when it's raining and everything's moving. You can kind of see that. So they have some really nice effects. The only thing is that sometimes you do, because of how the game is, you know, a looter shooter kind of recycle tile set system in that sense, where that's how the levels are designed. You're gonna see some of the things being repeated over. So yeah, sometimes you do see the same thing and you kind of get used to that, you know, and then you go to different planets. But all in all, I have to say, performance wise, sound effects wise, it's a very good looking game, very, very well performing game. Sounds really great. A little bit over the top sometimes with visual effects, but hey, I mean, I think most of us now in this day would probably rather a big boom, you know, than maybe just a, you know, a little 8-bit poof, you know, so. All right, now we're going to get to the juicy bits. I know some of you guys have been waiting. So the cash shop. Well, I have to say, as far as cash shop goes, this is actually one of the better cash shops. And for the main reason, same with, like say, Guild Wars 2, you are given the option to trade with other players. Now, in trading with other players, you can sell it usually in credits, or what most people do is platinum. And platinum is the cash shop currency. So obviously you can use the, you know, credit card power and you can get some. But one of the things that makes it very accessible if you grind a lot, which is one of the reasons the grind score was so high, you can take some, let's say your duplicate mon, something rare that dropped, you have one, you don't want to break it down, whatever. You can go to one of the marketplace areas and actually sell it to other players for platinum, and then you can buy whatever you were looking for in the cash shop, whether it be a WarFrame or a skin. You know, that's one of the things. Obviously, this is a very skin-intensive game. A lot of people are into the fashion. You'll probably hear the term fashion frame thrown around from time to time. So yes, there's a lot of things on the cash shop. There is a kind of pay-ish buff that you can get, or I remember, I'm not sure exactly if that affected experience or whatnot. I'll have to double check, or don't quote me on it. You know, but as far as being able to get extra inventory slots, you're going to see that later on when I was trying to snatch something, or I didn't have enough inventory slots to accept the item. So that can become an issue, and you're going to see some of those things. Of course, inventory has become a staple with cash shops. I'm not really sure why the game developers have thought that was a really good way to get into our pockets. I guess they were... Then you think about it, inventory pockets, inventory wallet. I mean, it's in your pocket, you know, it's where you put stuff. It's your bag of goodies, right? So I guess it makes sense when you look at it like that, right? But we're not going to condone it. Anyway, going back to, so the cash shop, yes, it's as extensive. There's a lot of things in it. There's a lot of, you know, you can straight up get the WarFrame instead of waiting 24 hours and stuff like that. But you do have the availability to completely play free and still get anything that's on the cash shop. So it will take you a lot longer. You'll be finding yourself grinding a lot more, but you still do have the option. So that's one of the reasons they do have, I decided to give such a good cash shop score, because I think any company that at least still gives you the option to work for the in-game cash credits. It may take you a little bit longer. You can, grind one thing and grind this out too at the same time, but it still gives you the option. So what I'm really getting at is you can't say it's pay to win when you have some kind of system where it just takes you a little bit longer, but you can get the same thing. So, and of course PvP is kind of dead, so I guess there's really nothing to pay to win. So not a horrible cash shop. I mean, obviously it could be better, but it is what it is for right now. So. Alright, so now we come to the part where I know some of you guys have been waiting to, and I thought there would be more. Here's the PvP. And there is some form of it left. You would probably have to go a little bit out of your way, maybe to set something up or to meet certain people. Trying to queue, the last time I did, it just never popped, unfortunately. PvP never really took off for this game. And I think a lot of that has to do with just how fast-paced the combat was, and the warframes and the mods. When you really start to get into it and you start getting a little further on and getting more and more stuff, you're like, there's actually a lot of in this game, and it's going to be hard. From a development standpoint, yeah, I would think it is kind of hard to get all those different hundreds of mods to figure out how to get everything to work right in PvP. The last match that I did get into, and this was a while back ago, you could tell that the person that got in there, probably just started playing the game themselves. So just that, knowing how to move your character, like how to continuously slide and things of that nature, it's one of those combat systems where if you don't know how to do that, you're going to be punished for it, if someone does. So I think because of that, that's one of the reasons maybe PvP never took off. It'd be really nice if they could try and do something to maybe bring it back, or to kind of spruce it up or change things. I think with that combat system that they do have, there is a great, there's still that great potential that they have there. So the PvP, that's why the score is where it is. It's almost non-existent. Would it be good if there was more of it, and if they, push that? Yeah. But keep in mind, this game was never designed for PvP. So, usually things that aren't designed for that particular thing, even though maybe a few of the player base wants it, it doesn't always work out the way that we would want it to, and if that was not their main focus in the first place. Obviously PvE takes the cake. I mean, you have all different kinds of, mobs and all these other things in places. So that's kind of where they went, So the PvP, like I said, it could be there, but unfortunately, that's just where we're at. There's not too much to say because it just doesn't happen too often. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I sure do appreciate all the support that we've been getting here on the channel. Please don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, or thumbs down if you didn't like the content, and leave any comments or suggestions you may have down below. And again, thank you guys, and until then, we'll see y'all next time.